This is Open Door with Vince Robinson. In-depth conversations with people who are making a difference in the lives of others here and around the world. Culture is at the heart of who you are. Know your culture, find yourself on Open Door with Vince Robinson.
Grand Dawn and Great Rising, Cleveland, Ohio, and the rest of planet Earth. Welcome to another edition of Open Door with Vince Robinson. As you know, I interview interesting people who are having an impact on the lives of people around the world. And my guest this morning is someone who has definitely done that. Her name is Lady Palmer, and we're going to learn all about her in the next few moments. So, welcome to Open Door, Lady Palmer. How you doing?
Well, good. Thank you. Yes, all is well. How are you, and how's everything today?
I'm doing wonderful and caught up in a lot of different things right now, but today is about you. It's not about me. So let's jump into who Lady Palmer is. You know, many of the people that I interview on the show are folks who started out in Cleveland, but I know I've had conversations with you in the past, and I know that you've been several places and lived other places in the world, so we want to get into that. But let me start just by asking you, are you a Cleveland native?
I am born and raised here in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay. And did you grow up in a specific neighborhood or different places in the city?
Well, East 90th Street off of St. Clair was my first half. And my dad made boat covers. And so, it's pretty exciting. He'd have these big yachts hooked up to his van, driving down St. Clair to 90th Street and sit them in our backyard. And he'll work on them. So I grew up with that environment. Pretty cool over there. So that was my first half. And the second half, I grew up from high school on Taylor Road, East Cleveland, went to Shaw High School. So there it is.
Okay. Well, that says quite a bit about your coming up. And you said your father sold boat covers. A lot of black folks owning boats back then?
Absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely no. His clients were like the Shell gas station owners and those. And I would always be like, Dad, introduce me to your clients, because I could tell that they were upscale people. Oh, he never would, though. He was that protective dad, wouldn't introduce me to his clients, but I never stopped asking, introduce me.
Okay. So at a point you made a transition from living in Cleveland and then East Cleveland. How was that transition for you?
Transition is a transition. And so I was 12, going to the ninth grade. I think I was 12. And, I had a boyfriend. And so that was a big deal at that age. You know what I mean? In school, the class environment it was not that much different, except, how we changed classes and running down the hall. My experiences were, I was kind of naive. And just when I was leaving high school, I was introduced to what pills were, like drug pills. And that I had been talking to a young lady who actually took pills. And I was like, for real? It was just. So that was my experience. That was leaving junior high school. I was introduced to that environment even existed. And again, you're asking me, for me, that was a big deal. So left junior high with that experience and a boyfriend that I didn't know if I should stay with or go get away from. And then, went to Shaw High School and totally different environment. And I'll just say our Shaw High School class, we're still together. We still have a bond. And so you can ask me what you want to know.
That's really interesting. So you said you were introduced to the idea of pills. Was it something that you indulged in, or you just noticed?
Heck no. I was completely naive. So my dad raised 4 girls, and I'm the youngest. I am the baby. Remember that. I'm not the youngest. I'm the baby. And so I was sheltered. You know what I mean? So I didn't know any of that stuff. Didn't even want to know. So when I was introduced that this girl, we had been hanging out a little bit, took pills, that it blew my mind. So I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So no, but no, I didn't indulge.
Okay. But you had an awareness of what they did to people.
No, this was an introduction. This
Okay.
wasn't any education, or experience. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went to Shaw High School, and then after high school, some folks go to college, some folks go to work. What was your choice?
Shucks. I got married immediately. And yeah, I married right out of high school and became a wife and mother at that time.
That's interesting. How did you feel about not doing the things that others did at that age?
You know what? Well, I've never been one, Vince, to do a lot of comparing. I just, even to this day, I don't think comparisons are accurate so much of the time, nor fair, or, apples to apples. They're like a screwdriver to an ocean. So I didn't do a lot of comparing. It was what came for me, and I just did it. As a matter of fact, I enjoy being a mother and, the wife. If I had that situation that made sense, somebody who had some sense, to be a husband with me as a wife, but I enjoyed it. So I guess I didn't have those aspirations to do college. And, how much college was our Shaw High School class going to? Actually, how much college was, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I know it was probably some time ago, and I don't want to date you because I don't know how old you are. But I just realized that it was kind of unusual, at least during my time, for someone leaving high school to go directly into a marriage and becoming a wife and mother. Well, not necessarily becoming a mother, but becoming a wife and mother at that time. So yeah, and I think it's a beautiful thing if you can make that decision.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I'm just curiosity. I'm an interviewer, so I ask questions out of curiosity.
Oh, go right ahead. Let's do it. I'm freedom too.
Okay.
I'll share what I want to share, and it's absolutely honest and free. And if there was anything that I felt like was inappropriate or couldn't be shared, I'd say so. But my color is pretty much transparent, so ask away.
Okay. So you married at 18. I'm assuming. Who was your husband, and what was he into?
Well, now that part we're gonna let that past be in the past, bygones be bygones. I want to bring that forward. But what was he into? Things that I wasn't. Things that I wasn't. I married very young, so I chose out of inexperience. I tell you why. I'll tell you why I chose this guy. Because he was a stone gentleman to me. And that's what it was, meaning he would pick me up and take me to school. He had a car. He worked at the car wash. So he had a car. He picked me up in the morning, drive me to school, carry my books, walk me to the building because he went to another school, walk me in the building, carry my books, come pick me up and, and all of that kind of thing. He was a gentleman to me. And I'm a lady. My name is Lady. So, of course, that was very appealing to me. And at that age, coming out of high school, I wasn't choosing from a futuristic point of view. I was looking at how that made me feel right now, right? It felt secure, felt nice. So I chose him because of those qualities and things. So him as a husband, he did other things, though, that I didn't do. And I didn't choose. We didn't, How much do you want to know? How much do I want to share?
Whatever you like to share.
So, and this guy I discovered, he had anger. He had anger issues, honestly, that I didn't understand either. Again, I was naive. And so my mother told me later, school be a little later, but by that time I was already married and in. And she'd say, lady, you look at him 1 minute and he okay. And the next minute, in her words, she said, he all swole up and you don't know what happened to him. Meaning he angry about something. So she saw that before we got married. I didn't, see a lot of that or take into account much of that. I was young and uneducated. So we married. So sure enough, though, when we got married behind those closed doors, he proved all that. Trust me. Yeah, he proved so he worked. I was a dedicated, diligent, as I'm told, mother and wife, cooking the meals and cleaning and taking care of the baby. But that combination didn't last very long, because even though I can fight and I got fight in me, and then I could do it when I need to, but I'm not a fighter. I'm a lover. So his anger and me as a love person, we didn't do long.
Okay. So you turned the page and you went in a different direction. So where did you go?
Well, at that time, though, in my younger age, so fast forward, we talked about one child. So I'm just going to say it. I was in religion and I was faithful. I was I was a good girl doing everything felt like I was supposed to do in religion. So I stayed and I, went back and forth with that same marriage man situation, because, I was taught that, man have one wife, and you get back. This is a teaching that we had, that my conversation could straighten him out. So a chaste conversation could save that man. So, believing it and thinking that, that teaching was good. Me and other women kept trying to save and talk just right to our drug addict and alcoholic husbands, because we were told that we could save them and get them straight through our conversation if we talk right to them. So I stayed and did the good girl thing and wound up having another child with that same man. But I'm glad it was with the same man, because my children are beautiful. So now I'm a mother too. And then after the second child, I was done. So I became a single parent at that time. And so, and I worked at BP here, BP, the research lab. I worked in there for 10 years, and that was that career. It was really cool. They let me do whatever I wanted to do in there, any department I wanted to move to, anything I wanted to create. I taught executives how to do word processing when that came out. Created the handbook from A to Z, taught the classes from A to Z, me and another white woman. So I enjoyed that as a career because I had so much freedom. I became manager of the, reception area just because I learned it well and went out there and used leadership skills. So wound up hiring and firing for receptionists and co-ops. So I did that but my job was I was secretary to 33 chemists. I had 33 chemists and then, moved to different departments. So I kept that job for 10 years while raising my children. They even let me bring a computer home, in the end. And then went from there to entrepreneur, left that job, took the buyout and started a Mary Kay business. So, but then, it was later in life that I really started traveling. Me and my children traveled. I took them everywhere to visit relatives, Colorado, Detroit. We went everywhere to visit relatives when my children were little. So they knew their out-of-town and in-town relatives because we got around. And, my children were in major works, very, very smart. I was, again, diligent. So diligent at teaching my children. And so they were in major works all the way through, hours of homework every night. But we also did a lot of stuff with it.
Okay. So, I find it really interesting that you were able to get into a company like BP, and I'm assuming that you just had a high school education. I don't think that you mentioned that you went to college and you worked as a secretary and had all those responsibilities and had all the liberties that they afforded you. Quite interesting. Right. I want to talk to you a bit more about your travels and your children and some of the other occupational choices that you made, including being an entrepreneur, when we get back. This is Open Door with Vince Robinson on 95.9 FM WOVU. My guest is Lady Palmer. We'll be right back.
This is DJ Chris Dowles, programs and music director here at WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station. WOVU 95.9 FM sends a big big thank you to the entire staff of the St. Luke's Foundation and President and CEO Timothy Tramble for awarding WOVU 95.9 FM $25,000 to purchase the WOVU 95.9 FM mobile vehicle. On behalf of our entire team, our Executive Director, Joy Johnson, and Executive Board, we said thank you, St. Luke's Foundation, for continuing addressing social determinants of health for our people in our neighborhoods and throughout Cuyahoga County. Thank you. This message is being brought to you by WOVU 95.9 FM, Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
Welcome back to Open Door with Vince Robinson and my conversation with Lady Palmer, who I discovered worked at BP Labs, and she was a secretary, had all these connections within departments and was able to move around as she chose. We've also talked about her past as a wife and mother, and she just mentioned that after she left her husband, or they parted ways, she took her children and she traveled the country. So talk to us about some of your journeys during that time.
Well, my children again were in major works, and my son he was attracted to scientific information, and so I believed in supporting my children's interests while they had it. So some of our journeys, I was very involved. We did science fairs in Columbus and competitions and things like that. And since I sing, of course, I taught my children to sing and my son dance, and so I had them in a lot of competitions, and we traveled with some of those as well. My son won a Michael Jackson dance competition when he was young. So we visit again, like I said, relatives in and out of the state. Loved it. Colorado, interesting people. Michigan, we have relatives all over. And we'll get to talk about my grandmother because I sat at her feet as much as I could and just learned she lived to be 101 and a half. No medications. We'll talk about that.
Oh, talk to us. Tell us about your grandmother. She sounds like a magnificent woman.
Oh, she has some philosophies. After a while, the doctors and hospitals did want to test her and find out what was making her tick, so to speak, right? And my uncles and aunts were like, no way. That's why she is living like this, still in high heel shoes and driving and no meds, because we didn't let you all get your hands on her. So no testing on this one. Yeah, but her mind is her mental. She would say things like 10 things she didn't believe in. So again, I spend the night with her just for days at a time. She, I asked her, Mom, I want to come over to this call. Mom, can I come? She just say, when you want to come. And I say, tonight or tomorrow night. And she say, come on. And I pack up and go stay 2-3 days with her. But she said 3 things that she refused to carry, which kept her well and good spirits. She said she wouldn't carry stress. Somebody told her something stressful. Her thing was to pray about it and get it off. She said she wouldn't carry tiredness. She get tired, she lay down and get that off. And she wouldn't carry pain. She refused. I wouldn't refuse to carry pain. Something paining her, she get in a tub of water because she believed water was healing. And it is, or you see her rubbing, working a finger or something to get herself well so she get the pain off. So she didn't carry things. You know what I mean? like we must learn. So again, this woman, she got hired, and I believe it was 89 years young when she got hired at Shaw High School. I got to ask my aunt what she was doing, but she had her own parking spot. Yeah, she's phenomenal. I watched this woman. She lived by herself. Can you still hear me okay?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I watched her fix meals for senior citizens. And she was about, I think, in her 90s. She's fixing me and taking them to them. Yeah, but it's how she think, man. It's her mind. It's strong.
That's really amazing, because the 3 things that you mentioned are 3 things that people talk about now all the time. And she understood those things back then. And I'm sure that she wasn't vegan. She probably didn't
Right.
have a
Right.
plant-based diet. But in all fairness, food was a little
Yeah,
different back then than it is now.
absolutely.
So, but yeah,
Hmm.
so you
Hmm.
got to sit at her feet and just pull
Oh
in
my
all of
God.
that wisdom.
Oh my God.
So
Hmm.
it compels me to ask you about the relationship that you had with your parents. I was thinking, wow, your mother and father let you marry at such a young age.
Hmm.
What was the dynamic with you and your parents?
Well, again, my dad was very protective of his girls. And I love my dad, but he's strong mental, as well. He did not play, with people, and he was, I'm just sorry, I got a call. He was he was a businessman. He was a fervent, solid businessman. So he had a strong mind. But again, protective. So he taught us a lot of things. Also, we want to know something. He always say, "Look it up, look it up." It's always teaching mode. My mom, she was most of the time home. She did work, but most of the time home with us. So I grew up. She was cooking meals at home, and I learned things like how to take care of my skin and how to groom myself from my mother because she did very well. My might say all of her undergarments had to match. She was very particular, and people still walk across the room just to touch my skin to this day. Particularly, of course, guys do it, but females do too. But those things I learned from my mother. So, I was the youngest of five and then four. I had a sister who transitioned at an early age. So, I was the last child. Um, you didn't ask me this part. I didn't tell you this part. But since we there, I was pregnant. I was pregnant. So then to do the quote right thing, I guess. Maybe that generation believed that it was the right thing. I know me and my religion believed you're supposed to be married, that. So I got married and they signed for me. They allowed it. You know what I mean?
Well, that makes perfect sense. I don't not saying that there was a shotgun involved in that situation,
Right.
but when a young man makes that step in his life, then he has to step up and be responsible. So I guess that explains that perfectly.
Thank you. Yep, I agree, Vince, with that. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
So you mentioned you worked as a secretary and those other things that you did at BP, and then you became an entrepreneur. What was your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, I dabbled in some things. Again, Mary Kay was one. I did a little Amway, I did a little Avon. All of those are entrepreneurs' businesses. And so not real heavy in any of them. So yeah, after that, I just kind of worked when I wanted to. Somehow, how was I able to do that? I have to look back and see how I worked. I worked for what census. Driving around collecting data, and I enjoyed doing that because I did it in Geauga County, so it gave me an opportunity to drive around the beautiful countryside, and visit the Amish people. I go and interview them, so I like that kind of thing. I'm driving through the country and see llama, on the free along the roads, and so I did that because I could pick my own hours, my own days, write my own check, basically, and enjoy the scenery doing it. So I did for some years, yeah.
Well, I once upon a time had worked in Geauga County as someone who worked for an insurance company. And I know ain't a lot of us in Geauga County.
No.
So did you experience anything because of the complexion of your skin as you were traveling those roads and meeting those people?
You know what, Vince? So I have to say, I guess I was groomed amongst other cultures and races, because at BP it was the same thing. In science, there might have been maybe two black scientists that I knew of. It might have been more, but out of that whole facility up there, that research lab. So it wasn't a lot of blacks either. So I came up in white corporate America, if you will, or a culture. So I was kind of used to it. And then my personality, again, I am just all love pretty much. Been there from a child. So, I exude love. And it's not that I don't see people doing things, and, it's not that I don't live in the same world. I see, but it's not what happens with us, it's what we do with it, right? So as a little girl, even, I run up to my sisters and I'd be like, ooh, 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 can I kiss you? Please, please, please. And they bend over, point to their cheek and say one time and let me kiss them. And I kiss them and skip off just as happy. But just this love thing, so I'm just being this person. So when people do things, it's not that I don't get hurt either. Somebody said it to me, man, lady, you've been through the fire, but you sure didn't get burned. It was like you came out pure gold. I was like, okay. So I've seen stuff, because I did theater. I lived in Chardon. All different, none of us there. But I did theater, right? And they always gave me the diva roles. I did the diva roles. So I don't know. It's how I interact. You know what I mean? I see the stuff, but I don't give it energy, man. I don't give that stuff energy. I keep it where I want it to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's probably something that you got from your grandmother, because she wasn't dealing with no stress.
Shoot, man, shoot. I probably collected that from a whole lot of places. I get it from babies. I get it from where I can. Everywhere, animals. Mm-hmm.
And two, it's a spiritual mindset.
Right, now say that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So where did that come from?
The spirituality?
Yeah, the spiritual mindset.
Whoa, now, my family is pretty intuitively inclined. Intuitively inclined. With gifts can say things, and it happen. They don't get into it. They didn't practice it like I did. I thought it was fascinating. They knew they had it, but they didn't talk about it, or really get in. But I paid attention to all that stuff they was doing, and so we're saying that it was happening. I was fascinated. So I utilize an open mind up a whole lot more than anybody probably else, pretty much in my family, So it came through development, through awareness. I don't know, giftedness. Giftedness, divine giftedness, self-infatuation, and being intrigued by things. I don't know.
That's amazing. I'm trying to think of who it was that said, I've got the gift and I got to use it.
Baby.
That was you.
Baby, because it comes so natural. Anything else is like unnatural. Yes. It makes sense for me. Mm-hmm.
And the other part to that is that sometimes people have those gifts and they are afraid to use them.
Yes.
And others would tell you, oh, no, you don't want to mess with that.
Oh,
that whole pushback from the unseen. And
oh, my goodness.
And then the indoctrination that we get through various platforms. And I'm going to mention it. I know it probably won't be a popular thing, but, religion does that sometimes, takes people away from their gifts and their strengths. And then you have education that basically doesn't provide the information to allow you to develop those gifts. And then you miss out on living a well-rounded life because you have an advantage in being connected to a very significant part of your inner self.
Oh, my goodness.
Very significant. Very fascinating. We're going to talk more with Lady Palmer, and I want to shift gears and talk to you about your musical gift. We'll do that when we get back. This is Open Door with Vince Robinson on 95.9 FM, WOVU, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio. Our voices united. Back after this.
Many people in our community dream of owning a home. Unfortunately, many also feel that that dream is out of reach. However, family, KeyBank is committed to changing that. KeyBank partners with a variety of mortgage programs focused on meeting the needs of borrowers, including offering down payment assistance, affordable and government loans, and solutions for first-time home buyers. A Key Community Mortgage is also a great way to help reach the goal of home ownership. It allows you to take advantage of low down payment options, and qualifying is easier than you might think. It's one more way KeyBank is supporting neighbors and neighborhoods in the communities that they proudly call home. To learn more, visit your local KeyBank branch and speak to a licensed mortgage loan officer. KeyBank and home lending products offered by KeyBank are not FDIC insured or guaranteed. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 399797.
This message has been brought to you by Key Bank and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, Burton Bell Carr, Community Radio.
We are WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United. United to enhance our community. United to be a beacon of hope. United to empower our community. WOVU 95.9. Our Voices United.
Welcome back to Open Door with Vince Robinson, the fascinating conversation that I'm having with Lady Palmer, who just revealed to me that she had certain, I'm going to say, psychic abilities. She described it as intuition. She described it as intuition. I'm going to take it a little bit further.
Mercy.
Because that's what it is.
Yeah.
And before we get to the music, let's just talk about what you did with those gifts. What kinds of insights were you able to derive from having the gift of seeing?
Wow. Well. Okay, so I'm going to bring it back to where I say intuitive. You can call it psychic all you want to.
Yes.
But I'm glad you made it clear that is not how I've ever referenced it. And I probably never will.
Okay.
But it is intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's more than that too, Vince. It is, well, I'm going to talk about my gift of healing first, because that's a gift, and so I say, again, it operates through love. Yeah, I don't use it nearly as much as I used to, because it takes a lot of energy to get somebody well, through this. But I have a friend who, gosh, this has probably been I bet you 30 years ago, maybe. It's just to show how long I've been aware of my gift and how I operate it. But it's a gift of healing. So she told me, lady, she was going to have a knee replacement surgery, and it was scheduled. I actually got angry. I'm like, what? I was like, no, we're not having it. So, I asked her to come in this room where it could be just the two of us with me. And so I actually did energy work. I put my hands on it and I pushed that thing back and I commanded her flesh and all of your joints and everything to be well and do whatever I was telling them to do in the moment. And so it was and I was very serious, and I'm using energy. And Vince, from that day to this one, no knee replacement surgery, no more pain, no nothing. She tell you that herself, because people have asked her, and she said, "Oh yeah," because it absolutely happened. So that's major. And my mom, like, we would get some of our babies, cousins and stuff, be coming over. They're babies and arm babies, and so so my mom, she looked out for some of the babies, and they come over and they wasn't all the time well, come over with high fevers and stuff. And she just laid the baby right in my arms, because she knew, hey, you give me a baby with a high fever, immediately the fever is going away. So she laid that baby there, and she said, "There it goes." And I said, "Yep, there it goes." Fever gone. But stuff, so healing. And it comes through love. This is the young lady that, she's still with me today. I was doing workshops on in Mayfield and Green. up in the dance studio, and I was teaching and doing sessions there. She walked in, and you could tell she couldn't. Her back was just tight. And I looked at her and immediately could see something wrong. I'm like, "Girl, what is going on with you?" She's like, "Mrs. Palmer, my back." She couldn't bend her anything. I took her, just me and her. Come on. And before she left there, she was bending over, picking up papers and cleaning up. She called me 2 weeks later and said, "Mrs. Palmer, I danced like I have not danced in 20 years. I said, "I know it. I know." hmm So the healing is one thing. That's why, it ain't like just psychic. I'm gifted. You know what I mean? But again, I don't do a lot of that healing stuff because I take a lot of energy. I could be knocked out, have to sleep the next day tired because it's a lot of energy to put into making somebody well. But I've seen it. I can tell you some more stuff that might be too much for this audience. So I'm going to leave it right there. So that's the healing portion of it. I can give people direction. Like I can see what would be good for their life. If you do this, it's going to improve your life. Make your life better. It's been some things as simple as get a coloring book and some crayons. Sit down and start coloring and watch what happens in your mind and your life. And they called me back amazed. Amazed. But I also, I've been a mentor and a coach. So I instruct people on what to, the young lady, what to say to your son. What to say to him, make an impression on him, help him change his life, get his life better. So we've have helped families get cars, come out of fears, live a lot better because I can speak direction. And, I hear it and I say it effectively. I don't know what else you want.
Well, that's quite interesting. Healing, coaching, and then there's your musical gift.
Yeah.
And
So,
I've seen a few of your performances in person as well as on Facebook. And again, always amazed at this woman and her abilities. So you probably spent your life singing?
heck, well, come from a singing family. So my dad sang. I was singing one of his songs the other day, and he transitioned probably like 26 years ago. And your cousins sang, and my sisters and my dad. So, my dad loved Aretha Franklin. He walked through the house and like, you hear that? Them albums playing and he'd be like, "Sing it, Aretha! Sing it!" So my sisters would take harmony parts and my dad would take a part. So I chimed in. I was the youngest. But to be absolutely honest with you, in the beginning, they could just to say it like this. They could sing. In the beginning, it was them who could sing. So, when I found that out, I heard myself and cried. I almost didn't say that part. It wasn't good. So I made a decision that I wanted to sing too. And I told somebody who I wanted to sing like. This young lady, to me, she was soulful and sincere and had a powerful voice. So I just started asking. You can call it, some call it prayer, whatever. Just call it what you want. But I literally started saying what I wanted. I want to have this voice. I want to sing, from my heart and I do that in the shower. You hear about singing in the shower, right?
Right.
Well, I did. And so after I do that prayer, then I start belting something out. Like, I'm going to do this. This, I'm not a religious person at all. At all. I'm not. I used to be, beyond what people know, but I'm going to just sing this little bit of portion because it's been with me from my cousin. And it just says, "Pray for me," right? So he was asking for help. From his heart, he needed some help. He needed somebody to see him, hear him right. And he was singing this song, and it goes a little like this. Pray for me. Pray for me. Pray for me. Oh, my brother, would you pray for me when you go down, even around your own altar? I'm asking you to please just remember, say a few words for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that kind of singing right there. So,
Lady Palmer, you got me with goosebumps over here. I'm having an ASMR experience right now. So I'll just say this about that. You've definitely proved that you have the gift of song. Talk to us about some of the places that you've been able to share your gift of music.
oh, wow. Oh, and you know what, Vince? Here again. Let me just say now, I've never, ever, asked to be invited. I've invited myself to any of these places. Never pushed. There's always somebody's recommendation or somebody encouraging or somebody insisting that I do it, or I just wind up in the right place at the right time. So, like, for instance, one time, I was living in California. So I went to Roscoe Chicken and Biscuit in Los Angeles. And it was Stevie Wonder's birthday. So his radio station was there broadcasting live, right? So I just went in there to get a meal. Wound up singing happy birthday to Stevie Wonder live on his radio station from Roscoe's. Just happened to be there, you know what I mean? In Japan. Was living in Japan, with my daughter, and went to karaoke. I'm off the stage karaoke. Two producers, male and female, agents too, come and ask me to sing on the Japanese version of the TV show, Deal or No Deal. You know that show, Vince?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sing on Deal or No Deal. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, but one condition though. I got a daughter who is a brick house. Let her be the suitcase girl and I'll sing. My daughter was a suitcase girl and I sang. On the Japanese. They played it on 7 networks in Japan over there. Right place at the right time. And then, so then I've literally been with Stevie Wonder 4 times. So again, I won some tickets to, call in, be the 7th caller or whatever. I'm like, first I wrestled. I'm like, don't do it. Then finally, well, lady, just call in to see what's happening. Call in. I was that number caller, whatever it was. Won some tickets to something. Didn't even know where I was going to really. But wound up a pre-Grammys awards event. So I went there, still didn't know what it was. I'm a Clevelander. I didn't know all that stuff. And wound up singing with Stevie Wonder. I got a picture. My hand on his shoulder. I sang and he played the keyboard at the pre-Grammys award event, So I cannot tell you how many times in Cleveland I've been called up to sing with bands. Don't know them, never met them, never saw them. And I wound up singing on the spot, impromptu, just like this interview, impromptu on the spot with them. Many times. So, I've been on Michael Beckwith's stage. His stage is in the front of the church and the back of the church and on the different events. And Michael Beckwith, right?
Yes.
Yeah, his stages. His wife literally pursued me for a year. I had a Thanksgiving dinner with them one time. And so we all sitting at the table, myself, him, Ricky, we all at the table. And I'm singing at the table. Ricky, she say, I want you to sing on our stages. I didn't put anything into it. I just said, okay. Didn't think about it. And every time she see me, Lady Palmer, give me a date. When are you singing? I never did that. That happened for a year. Lady Palmer, give me a date. I'm like, okay. So finally she came to me. She said, I booked you already and you're singing on this date. So then I had to do it, right?
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
stop.
Okay.
Because I'm still blown away. I didn't know all this about you. And again, the word is fascinated. We're going to get back to more of your musical travels when we return. This is Open Door with Vince Robinson and a great conversation with Lady Palmer right here on 95.9 FM WOVU, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio. Back in a few.
This is DJ Chris Styles, Programs and Music Director here at WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station. WOVU 95.9 FM sends a big thank you to the entire staff of the St. Luke's Foundation and President and CEO Timothy Tramble for awarding WOVU 95.9 FM $25,000 to purchase the WOVU 95.9 FM mobile vehicle. On behalf of our entire team, our Executive Director, Joy Johnson, and Executive Board, we said thank you, St. Luke's Foundation, for continuing addressing social determinants of health for our people in our neighborhoods and throughout Cuyahoga County. Thank you. This message is being brought to you by WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
Hi, this is April Urban from Signal Cleveland, and you're listening to WOVU 95.9 FM, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
Hi, this is Tammy Payton, the CEO and founder of Pillars to Success Incorporated. You are listening to 95.9 FM WOVU, Our Voices United, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
Welcome back to Open Door with Vince Robinson and this magnificent conversation that I'm having with Lady Palmer, who just disclosed that she sang with Stevie Wonder. She met him more than once, and I'm just trying to process that because Stevie is one of the most gifted and talented persons that has ever walked this planet. You sang to him on his birthday on KJLH radio in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And then you end up on a stage with him in a pre-Grammy program with your hands on his shoulders. He's playing the piano and you're singing. I mean, talk about a charmed life. You mentioned being in Japan on Deal or No Deal. Mm-hmm. Your daughter, the brick house, is the suitcase girl.
Yes.
Wow. To use your word, wow. That's absolutely amazing. And I think you told me at one time you lived in Hawaii as well.
Yep. So, I actually moved from Beverly Hills, though, to Hawaii. That was my last, because in California, I moved into San Diego. I was looking for a place to live, and I was living in Texas at the time I get to, the Hawaii. Living in Texas, my daughter, she's in the military. She called me up, and she'll call me in New York, saying, "Mom, I'm moving. I'll be moving into the States, and I'll be in Texas. Will you come?" So shoot, I was single, so I packed up everything, my whole house, down to 2 suitcases and a laptop. Went to Texas, moved with my daughter. So, I was there from the end of November to January 1st. Saw some tumbleweed rolling across the freeway and told my baby girl, "I'm so sorry, but Mama got to go. I can't do the tumbleweed." I couldn't handle the tumbleweed. It was too Western. So, we had gone in the same car. I bought a car, and decided what I wanted. This is so important in life, is making the decision about what we want to do. As most of us haven't learned to make a solid decision, because action and activity follows a decision, right? So I decided where I wanted to live, what I wanted. And what I wanted was I had to be near the mountains. I love the mountains and the ocean. I wanted sunshine, palm trees, I wanted a different mindset of people, open-minded people. I wanted to talk to people with the long spiked black fingernails and paint on their face. I wanted to talk to them, to meet their people. So I wanted to melting pot, all kind of people. So that's what I wanted, right? So when I'm deciding where am I going to go from Texas to get away from this darn tumbleweed, because I can't stand it. So I opened up this huge map. My daddy taught me how to read a map, huge map. And I found where the ocean and the mountains came together. That was Southern California. Told my baby girl, that's it. Mama moving to California. So I bought a car because we shared the same car and started my drive. Drove from 5 days from Texas to California, stopping at, all the wonders of the world. I wanted to see them caves, caverns, and the Grand Canyon, just stopping. That's why it took me 5 days to drive it. So, but I moved into San Diego, fast forward, went all the way up through California, lived in all kind of places, and moved from there out of Beverly Hills. But I was on numerous stages in Beverly Hills, numerous stages there. So, but my daughter called me again. Mom, I want to start a business here. I want to start a food truck because I taught her the entrepreneurship. I took her into these businesses with me. So she will start a food truck in Hawaii. But in the meantime, me and my Vietnamese assistant, her name is Stephanie. She had been assisting me the whole 5 years I was in California. I'm like, Stephanie, her and another young lady, I need to live in paradise, right? So I decided, we go again, Vince. I decided, it's time for me, Lady Palmer, to live in paradise. So Stephanie came over, we sat in my car, and I'm just visiting. Yeah, living in paradise where the succulent trees and just creating it and all in it, right? 2 days later, my daughter called, Mom, will you move to Hawaii, help me start a business? I told Stephanie, well, there it is, because Hawaii is considered paradise. There's my answer, So I packed up again, sold everything I had. TV gave it away, sell nothing. TV sold the car, and I packed up the 2 suitcases and a laptop one more time and moved to Hawaii to help her start her business, the food truck thing. And we built it from scratch, from an empty truck, the generators and Frappuccino machines and took all of the cooking classes, and she put it on a military base. So then when employees are coming to work early in the morning, they stop and get her coffee and her sandwiches, and she do lunch. And so when they got all together, pretty much, then I came back to Cleveland. That's a whole nother story right there.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, but I'm still thinking about you being in paradise. And so I'm also thinking about the fact that you chose places in the country that are very expensive to live. You talk about Beverly Hills, you talk about San Diego, you talk about Hawaii. Now the average person would think, I can't afford to do that. But you weren't thinking about the expense. You were just thinking, this is what I want to do. And you did it. Absolutely.
Absolutely, Vince. Totally and completely. And do you know, I hear a lot of people say that too. They always say, so expensive though in California. It was so expensive in Hawaii when they find out. My response to that is, also, those are 2 of the most highly populated places in the U.S., 2 of them. So obviously people are figuring it out. You know what I mean? They go there and figure it out. So, most people get held back. The fear, the thought of, because they don't get the how. This is something I teach, right? I'm a coach. I teach the how is not up to us. That part is not up to us. It's to get there to the destination. The how gets figured out. It gets provided, actually, somehow. With the desire, the how gets provided. So you just do it. Let the how figure it out. Yeah.
So then that leads me to the next question, and that is your coaching. Is your coaching part of a business, or is it just something that's incidental to you?
It's something that I do. Yeah, it's just something that, I have done. And I'm actually, I think, making the decision to definitely do it differently. I've done a lot of certain kind of one-on-one, very educational. So I won't, I'm changing either the type of clientele or I just won't do it at all at this point, and looking to see what I absolutely want to do next. But it's so funny you called me because this kind of thing is on the horizon. People are tapping in, interested in what I have to say, so who knows what has been waiting for such a time as this. I could tell you some of the things that led up to that, and even this coming about you calling.
Mm-hmm. So you lived in Paradise, you lived in California, and then you made a decision to come back to Cleveland. What was your decision based on?
Well, let's go back to, so before all of that, though, I believe, it was somewhere in there, again, as I said, lived in Japan. I don't even have to get the years. But adventurous, the adventurous natured person that I have been and am, I actually came back to Cleveland on a visit from Hawaii. My grandmother was having a significant landmark birthday celebration, and my high school, when we were getting together for the alma mater, our year celebration all year. So I came back for those two things. And actually, what happened was two young ladies that were in my life prior to me leaving, both, I was going to say, found me when I came back to visit, right? So I believe I got back maybe on a Thursday, on a Friday, and run into this young lady. She and I went to school together. And she's like, lady, I've been looking for you all these years. And she's telling me, over the years and who else had been looking for me and how they have gotten together as teams looking for me and all of these things. And I was like, really? And so she asked me to stay, if I would stay, and if she could assist me, and I teach her, right? So that was Friday. Saturday, the very next day, another young lady, these two don't know each other, and this one is still with me today, Mrs. Palmer, because I would do women's sessions on Saturdays, and women would come. They were so faithful to come. I was having my house, blew me away. Vince, when I'm telling you, they would leave significant family members, funerals and things to come and be at my house on Saturday. The way they showed up was phenomenal. So this was one of the young ladies that came on Saturdays. And so this Saturday when I got back in Cleveland for these events, she saw me. Mrs. Palmer, when you left, it left such a void in my life that never went away. I'm like, oh my God. Because I understood and I knew it was the truth. She was not just talking. The difference between when it's so felt. Because I knew the history and I knew how she came to me. I knew how I left her. And so, but this part I did, she's like, Mrs. Palmer, looked like, like you were all of a sudden gone. She said, it's like I didn't have enough notice that you were leaving and you were gone and left such a void. So I gave her some clothes. She'd been wearing the clothes and just very, very endearing, really longed and missed me. And it was real, right? She too asked me to stay and teach her. Can I assist you? But people have always asked me, can I assist you? I've never, ever sought for an assistant, but I've never been without one. They always ask me, can I assist you? Can I do any? Can I serve you? How can I be with you? All kind of stuff. I'm telling you, all kind of stuff they do. So I let them. I allow it because, it's a good win-win. So with them two asking me, they not knowing each other, I decided again, well, maybe it's something to this. My work was just about done in Hawaii anyway. So I stayed and I came here also with 2 suitcases and a laptop. 5 times I traveled and moved out of the country and across the country with 2 suitcases and a laptop. So that's how I came back to Cleveland and I stayed. Never went back and packed or nothing. Just same way people go to Hawaii and visit and never leave. I did that in Cleveland. Came to visit, never left. So I've been here 2 years now and looking right now where I want to be next.
Okay. Well, we will stay tuned for that chapter, but at the same time, we will express our gratitude that you have decided to stay and you've been able to impact the lives of so many people, which is where we started this show. I just mentioned that I like to talk to folks who have a positive effect on others. And obviously you have You have been charmed in your lifetime to have all of the experiences that you've had and to do all the things that you've done. And I'm really appreciative of you for sharing those things with us today on Open Door. So with that, I'd like to thank you for being my guest.
Thank you for having me. I really, really enjoyed the interview. Much success, Vince. Much success. I love you.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
I love you back. And to all of those who are listening, as always, know yourself, love yourself, be yourself. Make today your absolute best day. Peace.